What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna go over how to properly drill a bowling ball. Since I'm not a ball driller, I have a buddy of mine, Mr. Aaron Pulaski. He's gonna go over exactly how to do it properly. He was taught by the great Wayne Webb, is that right?
Yep.
Hall of Famer Wayne Webb, so I'm sure he knows a thing or two.
Right.
All right, Aaron, what's the very first step to drill a bowling ball?
Well, being this is a symmetrical ball, our dual angles, our first number is not that relevant. So, but you also mentioned you want the ball to be kind of in the middle. So we'll do 45 by 4.5 by 45.
Okay, and for us not smart people who don't know what that means,
It's just
what do those numbers mean?
well,
What is 45, the first number? Let's start with that.
the lower the number, the sooner the ball is going to want to hook. Closer to 20, opposite going to 90. Your distance from axis, the closer to 3 3/8 is your max for hook. Sooner than that, it gets to weaker. Past that, it gets to weaker again.
Okay.
Our third angle is going to be lower. The ball's going to want to bite harder when it wants to kick compared to a bigger number. It's going to even it out.
Okay.
So doing 45, we're going to keep it pretty basic.
Somewhat in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, your rev rate's on the higher side. Your ball's pretty rolly. So we'll do with that.
Okay.
So that's all we're going to do. So make my line.
So just to confirm, we're going to be doing this 45.
Yep, so there's my
By-
45 right here, 45 degrees. And then the next will be our distance to axis. We talked about let's go 4.25.
And for those that don't know what an axis is,
It's
what is it and why is it important?
Well, we need to know your positive axis point. It's relevant to the distance from your pin to your axis. That's going to be how strong or how weak what the ball is going to do and not do.
Okay.
So it's important to have that number because that way you know what you can do with the ball. If you just randomly put 3 holes somewhere, you're hoping that the ball reacts the way you want.
Correct.
So here's our 4.25, which is there to there. And then our third number, we talked about doing 45 again, which would be here. And it'll look the same when I'm done. And there's your 45 again. Now we measure your axis, which is what? 5 3/16, 7/8 up. So since it's up, we have to go down. So we're gonna go 7/8 down. And then we're gonna go 5 3/16 over. That makes sense? And now we're gonna measure 5 3/16, which is about there. And then this becomes your center of grip. And then that's that. So now your holes will go here, here, and here.
And typically before you even put any lines on the ball, the customer you're working with, you would completely fit their hand, get their span.
Correct.
Because everyone's got a different fit, and that's extremely important
Pitches.
for people.
Right.
Is feel on the
Pitches
ball.
and- sure.
Some people like having a shorter span. Like myself, I personally go a little bit shorter.
Yeah, well, it's also relevant to what your pitches are, because you can take the same span and make it feel completely different by just the pitches.
Right.
If you had a span that was 5 inches total, and you had a 3/8 reverse, if you took that and made it only 1/8, which you wouldn't do, that span would feel extremely long because the angle of your thumb would start to come back toward the palm.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you wouldn't do that. But, yes. So from here, we're just gonna measure, because your cut to cut is 4 3/8 and 4.5 before the Joe Pro and the inserts. And we're gonna drill it. So a half of 4 3/8, 2 3/16. That'd be your cut line there. So that will be the outer spot. And then we'll go.
And that's the outer for my Jopo grip, which is the interchangeable thumb that I use on my balls.
So this will be the cut line here, like so. and then this will go inside from there, and then we'll make our measurements. I drill thumb first. That's the way that I was taught. Some guys do fingers first. I think it's personal preference, but that's the way that I was taught, and that's the way that I do it. So that's about that for now, and then we're gonna drill it.
And I didn't realize how important the access point was for the longest time. And for those who don't have their access measured, I highly recommend going to your local pro shop and asking them to measure it for you. All they have to do for that is take you out on the lane, have you throw a few shots, get a nice oil ring on your ball.
Yep, use an armadillo.
And you can measure it with the armadillo. And then every ball from there on out, you drill based off of your axis.
Right.
Since your rotation is unique to yourself, it's extremely important.
And it's better ideally to use the least dynamic ball you can, because where the pin's placed, where the ball you're throwing can affect how it tracks and flares.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Because Aaron and I could drill the exact same layout and have two completely different results because our rotations are completely different.
Yes.
So that's why your access point is extremely important.
Yep. Or if you're two-handed now, you just put the pin away up high. Nobody cares anymore.
All right, so what are you doing here?
Just lining up to make my line. So this is going to hit here. This is going to hit here. And that's going to be our initial hole for the outer of your Joe Pro.
Okay, so he's lining up the drill bit. Just making sure he's right on the line so he doesn't miss.
And this is where if you do miss, not on this part, but like when you go to do fingers, I think you have more adjustability to if you did miss by a touch, the thumb is there and you can make your fingers.
Right.
Or if you do fingers to thumb, I think it's a harder way to do it.
Gotcha.
We're only human beings. We're gonna make mistakes once in a while, or even if your line is too thick and you hit the line, that's still gonna vary the distance of the span. Mm-hmm. Because if the line is super thick and you hit it, compared to a thin line, you want that line to be as thin as possible because you're being the most accurate to cut when you hit it.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, and so to not ruin your expensive drill bit, we'll take a bit we don't use that often to make a pilot, and then we'll go back through it with that. That.
All right, so we got our hole drilled out for the thumb.
We need to clean it out, and then we're gonna put this in there.
Gonna put the sleeve for the interchangeable
and
thumb in.
hopefully line it up right.
Yep.
So according to how they do it, now you just do that and lay it in place, just like that. So we just got some usual glue, and I always just like to make sure before I do it.
Always double check.
Well, I mean, nothing can be changed here. It's just, you gotta psych yourself up for putting this in, because that glue sets pretty quick and you gotta get it in. If you don't get it in right,
then
once
when you
put
glue's in,
then once you put the thumb in it, then it won't line up right for your oval. So
correct.
We have that much margin of error.
Yep.
Which is none.
We're drilling the newest ball on the market, which is the Duo. I don't even think it's out to the public yet. It's by Rotogrip, and it's supposed to be a very similar motion to the Zen, which is personally my favorite ball of all time. So I'm extremely excited for this one. That's why he went with more of the middle drilling to smooth out the ball a little bit. Not too strong down lane, doesn't hook too early.
Yeah, we don't need to enhance it in any specific way of trying to make it roll early or make it extra flippy. Just let it be. And you got a high rev rate, you're gonna make it hook. So
right.
Now we're just gonna give that a second to dry.
Now he's got the glue set in there, and he's gonna let that dry right before he uses this drill bit to shave down the rest of it to make it flush with the ball.
It's called a plug cutter.
Plug cutter. Sorry.
Not a drill,
rookie over here.
Not a drill bit.
Here. That's why you're doing this video, not me.
All right, so that's long enough. So now we're gonna cut it down, and then we're gonna make some measurements.
All right, we got the outer flush with the ball.
Yeah.
And what's happening next?
We're gonna measure for your fingers, and then we're gonna drill the fingers.
Okay.
This is where doing the thumb first. Now, had I missed, now we could change it, but now I'm just gonna drill there and bam. I think in the drilling schools, they teach fingers first, but I didn't go to a drilling school, so.
Well, you learned from one of the goats, so
I
think that's a better teacher in any drilling school could show you.
The way that Mikey 220 does it was how he learned from me, which I learned from Wayne.
Yeah, despite what everyone thinks, 220 average bowler does know how to properly drill bowling balls. He just likes to troll the internet and use hand drills for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, he did learn from me, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's probably a good thing.
I don't know. He does some off the wall stuff. Your pitches are 1/4 and left and 7/16 forward. So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting that into the machine now. And see also, since I do thumbs first, all the measurements are backwards. The angles are backwards. So I think that's why they probably teach fingers first. Because if you want a certain pitch, whatever the angle is, that's the way it goes. So even though the pitch of your fingers is going this way, which they are, I've got to bring the ball toward me to go that way.
Right.
Where if it was fingers first, we'd be going the way with the ball.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I guess that might make it less confusing for people. So that's why they do fingers first. But again, it's the way that I was taught. So it's the way that I do it.
Right. So what you do is you preload the pitches into your drill press.
Right. So 250 would be 1/4 and a fraction, and a decimal of 430. Well, that should be 437, but that will be 7/16. So now we're going to go ahead and drill it.
Okay.
And then we're going to check our measurements as we go. And then your ring finger is different. It's a 1/2. So we're going to add to that 7/16 to make it a 1/2, which is 500 instead of saying a 1/2, but that's just the way that I do it. And our lateral is also a 1/2 because we don't want the holes meeting at the bottom. And luckily you're on staff, so we're gonna hit that pin, so your warranty doesn't matter. So here's where I stop, and you can see I hit the lines, but I just double check. If I need to cheat it at all, here's the time to do it beforehand.
Right, okay. See that hole is perfectly on the cut line here and the cut line here.
Yep.
So he's right on the money.
And we'll just double check it. Now, yes, if this was a customer ball, I would not drill that close to the pin. But since it's us, we don't care.
Correct.
So now we just buzz the fingers out, because if you leave them sharp like that, they can crack. Then you just put grips in. So this is how I drill a bowling ball. A very long time.
The finishing touches will be my interchangeable thumb that goes in. Now that locks in.
Done deal.
Good to go.
Just glue the grips in.
Already feels great. So now we're just gluing the grips in.
Yep, just a little
Finishing touches.
little dab on each corner.
Here's the finished product. It's looking good, feeling good. All right, well, that's how you properly drill a bowling ball. Thank you, Aaron, for walking us through your process.
Not a
Appreciate
problem.
it. And also, if you're in the area of Livermore, California, I highly recommend stopping by. Aaron will take care of you, and he does a great job every time. So come and check out his shop here at Granada Bowl.
Yep.
And
Here Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. Okay, and stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to be throwing this ball, the duo, against my wife, Brittany. We're gonna have a one-on-one match with it, and that'll be the first time both of us throw it. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.